Hello, it's me. Today we're going to talk about Volume 1 of Brandon Sanderson's Dark One, which is a brand new graphic novel released this month in May 2021. The concept and story of this is Brandon Sanderson, with the comic writing by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly, with the drawing by Nathan Gooden. I have asked around, I've had people look on Coppermind for me so I don't spoiler myself, and I'm told that this is not part of the Cosmere. Doesn't require any previous Brandon Sanderson knowledge to enjoy. I haven't reviewed any graphic novels on my channel before. This is a first for me. I'm going to be talking more about the story. I'm not an artist. I can't really critique the art with an artist's eye, but I'll do my best. This is set on Earth. We follow a young teen boy called Paul Tamasin. He's moved out. He's gotten his own place at a very young age, feeling the need to sequester himself for the safety of those around him. He has these weird dreams of another place, another realm, over which he rules like some kind of dark god. I know, if someone told me this in real life, I'd be like, edgy. And he has been followed his whole life by a ghost, a figment of his imagination or an apparition nobody can see called Nika, somebody who claims to be his sister even though he's never had one. The realm Paul dreams of is Mirandus, a real place, a land of swords and sorcery subject to something called the narrative. An eternal, endless cycle of light versus dark, good versus evil. Every generation, a powerful champion for each side arises. The light leading the humans of Mirandus, and the dark leading an army of drolls, golems, and evermores. Every generation they clash, and every generation the light wins, beating back the darkness. Paul is the Dark One, destined to lead the forces of evil in Mirandus, to become the destroyer and lay waste to the armies of the light. This was really refreshing when the big fantasy cliche is somebody from our world turns out to be the destined hero of another land. To have something from the bad guy's perspective is honestly so cool. I think the intention of this graphic novel was to turn a trope on its head and give it a bit of new life. I think the main theme of this is destiny, how destiny can be misinterpreted, how people can meet their destiny on the road they take to avoid it. Maybe also about how knowing your fate, even if you're not necessarily a force for good, is something almost cathartic because you know your life has been taken out of your hands and you don't need to worry anymore. It also talks about how unfair fate and destiny are when some people work so hard for something and it's just given to somebody else on a plate. The idea of predetermined paths and prophecy, I think, is something Brandon Sanderson likes quite a lot. With the whole swords and sorcery thing going on in Mirandus, this book did have a real fantasy vibe to it, which was really cool. But I wish Mirandus got developed more and we got more of that world build. The big map at the beginning of the book on page 1 has a lot of stuff in it where I was like, oh, what's that? That looks interesting. And I keep having to remind myself, this is volume 1. Calm down, Max, there is still time. I think world building in a graphic novel must be hard, because you don't really have the time to go into the level of detail you can in a novel, and you have to do it 90% visually. Most of the world building has to be somebody explaining something to somebody else, and I get why you wouldn't want that to take up 90% of your dialogue, or it might as well just be a novel, you know? And this is dialogue heavy, it's a very dialogue heavy one. Some panels have a lot of speech in, and it is stuff you have to pay attention to. The characters are all really interesting. I don't think there's a single character I didn't want to know more about. You have Paul's mum, who's one of the most successful criminal defense lawyers in New York, defending a serial killer who's trying to strike a plea deal to ensure his own execution. You have a wizard who seems to be able to move between Earth and Mirandus at will, and has very different roles in each. You have Paul's ghost sister. There's the daughter of the king of the light side who feels cheated that the champion should be anyone but her, given that she's a master sword fighter and military tactician. I think the only character who fell a bit flat at the end, honestly, was Paul, the main guy. He seemed to accept things very quickly. He didn't really try to steer his own story at all. I wish we could have had a bit more inner turmoil from him leading up to his path to become a villain and accepting that role. But it felt kind of like he went, oh, I'm a bad guy. Why not? I kind of wish this first volume wasn't so much crammed into one book, and we got a bit more of a slower introduction to people and their thought processes and their motives. From a layman's perspective, I thought the art was very cool. It is a bit stylized. It's very shadow heavy. A lot of panels are dark, very monochromatic, with a lot of black in them. I guess that might throw some people off, but I think it really helped differentiate between scenes that were taking place in Earth, in Dark Mirandus, in Light Mirandus. I think it was used pretty well. The characters had nice facial expressions, but sometimes when their hair changed, I was like, who's this now? So maybe the faces weren't super memorable. There are quite a few really lovely double-page spread pictures. One I loved was two directly after one another of the same piece of scenery before and after a catastrophe while something's being explained to Paul. That was really cool. I think another big theme of this is that good and evil are very much matters of perspective. We do get a look at the evil legions who actually all seem very nice, very helpful, helping Paul achieve his goals. Philosophical, introspective, while most of the deceit and the power grabbing is the humans on the light side. I hope that going forward, one of the themes that gets explored is that in a war, within each side, you will have a lot of people whose goals don't necessarily align and who are fighting for very different reasons. And with people sort of wanting to nip Paul in the bud before he's even taken up the mantle of Dark One, there's the question of really how morally right prophecies are in a sort of Minority Report way. Is it ever okay to hold somebody accountable for something they haven't done yet? Probably not. This was pretty cool. I'm really excited to see where it goes from here. I know there's at least one other volume coming out after this. So I'm going to give this one a high 3 stars. Not quite 4. But if the story improves and volume 1 makes more sense as part of a whole story, my rating for this one probably will change. So thanks very much for watching my first graphic novel review. I am trying to get up to date with all of the Sanderson stuff this year. I'm doing it as part of the Cosmere Crab-Along, so join our Discord, I'll link that down below. Also join our Interstellar Book Club Sci-Fi Book Club Discord, which I'll also link down below. Like and subscribe for more single book reviews. Follow me on Goodreads and Twitter, link down below. And I'm on Readerly now as well, my @ is Max. I'll see you soon for the next review. Bye!